Hello class, in this last video I want to talk you through the covalent naming process that we went through in class. So if we look at a covalent bond, we're going to notice some differences. Covalent bond is a bond or a glue that holds two atoms together that share a pair of electrons. Remember, in an ionic bond they're transferring their electrons, but a covalent will share. And because they are a different type of bond, a different type of glue that's holding these atoms together, they have different naming rules. And covalent bonds can happen only between two nonmetals. So it'll be a nonmetal and a nonmetal combining together. All right. And we will use in the naming system prefixes. We will not use charges. So notice a nonmetal is a negative and another nonmetal is negative, and those ions will not hold together based on electrostatic attraction. So there's a different process. They share electrons, therefore they have a different naming system. Okay, so prefixes are kind of standard prefixes. 1, mono, you can see 2 is di, 3 is tri, like a tricycle, and so on and so forth. A lot of geometry uses these prefixes, and we use them in other places in science, like, or even in talking about time, like there's 10 years in a decade, for example. So those prefixes will tell us how many atoms we have. They are the subscript in our covalent compound. All right, so here's some examples. Nitrogen monoxide. Mono means one, so N for nitrogen, 1 oxygen. Nitrogen dioxide, NO2. The di means 2, so I have 2 oxygens and 1 nitrogen. We don't put mono on the first compound, so I would not say mononitrogen dioxide. I would just say nitrogen dioxide. However, if the first compound has more than one, then I do add the prefix. So dinitrogen tetraoxide is N2O4, tetra being the prefix for 4. Iodine octafluoride, 1 iodine and 8 fluorines. It also works the other way. If I see the subscripts, I can turn those into prefixes. So this becomes tetraphosphorus heptaoxide. So or heptoxide will be the way of indicating 7 oxygens. Notice I still change the ending of oxygen to oxide. Dinitrogen pentoxide. Okay, this one would be tetraphosphorus non-sulfide, because I'm using the prefix for 4 and for 9. So at this point, using prefixes is only for covalent compounds. And what I'm going to ask you to do is be able to identify, are we dealing with covalents or are we dealing with ionics? And the best way to do that is looking at some mixed practice. Covalents will have a non-metal first, like carbon and carbon, whereas sodium is a metal. So that's going to be different. Barium is a metal. Those will be ionic. They both end in IDE, but covalents are the only ones to use prefixes. Use prefixes for covalent. And we use charge for ionic. So kind of keep those things straight in your head. Also, if it's ionic, it might be multivalent, like iron can have more than one charge. But once again, we see carbon down here, that's covalent. Also, polyatomics are going to be something that we learned about. They do not use prefixes and they use charge. And their endings are a little bit different. Some are "ide", some are "ate", some are "ite". So just kind of be aware of the polyatomic groups in your compounds when you're doing your mixed naming. Reach out if you have questions. Thanks again.